Hello and welcome to the Philippines. In today's broadcast, I'm going to talk a little bit about what my food costs are, and I'm going to touch on a few other things as well. You can live much cheaper than I can, and you can spend much more than I do. I try to eat relatively healthy, but that doesn't happen every day. I have my chips and various different things. I'll show you some of those as well. I am averaging about 240 US dollars or 12,000 pesos a month on groceries, and I distribute that money pretty much in the order that I've listed here. S&R, which is Costco, very similar to Costco in the US, Canada, parts of Europe, I think. Landers, which is similar to S&R and has some of their products as well. Metro, which is in Ayala. SM Supermarkets, Gaisano Supermarkets, and the public market. I tend to buy a lot of imported items, things that I'm familiar with, things that I like, and they are more expensive, so that drives the cost up. I tend to buy in larger sizes, and that generally lasts me several months. For instance, 2 kilograms of black rice, I think I have, is lasting me over 4 months now because I usually mix it with other items. I make a meal out of it. While black rice costs about twice as much as white rice, if white rice is, say, 50 pesos per kilogram, black rice is probably 110, 120 per kilogram. I buy a 2 kilogram bag and it lasts me quite a while. So really, per week, per month, it doesn't cost me that much, and it's much more nutritious than white rice and even brown rice. I just made a trip to Landers and spent about $200 US dollars there, about 10,000 pesos. I got a very good deal on a coffee, a French press there, 500 pesos, about $10. I also bought a very large bag, 45 ounces of Dunkin' Donuts coffee. It has a pretty good taste, in my opinion. I think it won a taste contest in the USA some time ago, and that is expensive, 1,600 pesos, 32 US dollars. That will probably last me 4 months, or about $10, $11 a month. A pleasant tasting cup of coffee is important to me, and I will pay a little bit extra for that. Alternatives, I've bought Kirkland, Costco's brand of coffee here a number of times, very large container. Cost me a little bit less per volume, per ounce, and it's pretty good coffee. I bought some Folgers the other day, and after about 2 or 3 cups, I decided I would pay a little extra for something I really enjoyed. There are also several places in the Philippines that have coffee plantations now, and you will see Filipino brands. Some of them are relatively cheap, and others can be quite expensive, and it really comes down to taste. I've tried 3 or 4 different brands. Some of them are quite good, and I need to get some more of those as well. I found some taco shells, Bambi taco shells. Never had those before at Landers, and they were 40 pesos a piece, or 80 pesos for a box of those. Got a couple of those. The tortilla wraps, 125 pesos, or $2.50. Spam is very popular here and quite easy to find, but rather expensive compared to the US, I believe. Not sure what it costs there. Spam anywhere from about 150 on up to 160, so 152 or about $3 for a can of Spam. Eggs usually cost between 70 pesos and 80 pesos per dozen. If you get the range-free eggs or the more nutritious eggs, you can double that price. So 170 pesos is about $1.40 US. Eggs are not refrigerated here, and aren't not washed either. Once you wash eggs, it decreases the life of that egg, and so they're left out at room temperature. Something to get used to if you're used to refrigerating them. And they usually have an expiration date, like this carton does, stamped on them. And here's a good example of higher cost for imported items. I've started buying this Arizona green tea, and it cost me 210 pesos or $4.18. Not sure what that cost back in the USA, but I poured into a smaller container. And I've read that green tea is one of the best forms of mouthwash. It kills the bad bacteria in your mouth and leaves the good bacteria. Not sure how true that is, but I have read it. It was on the internet. The asparagus, I occasionally buy fresh asparagus in the stores, but I haven't had any for a while. This was one of those impulse buys. I didn't really look at the price. I picked it up, threw it in the basket, and I was a little bit shocked at how much I paid for this. But it will last me a while. I will ration them out. Asparagus, 530 pesos for that jar of asparagus, pickled asparagus, or $10.60. Not quite as expensive as gold. I often eat some type of granola cereal for breakfast, although a friend of mine told me that he was fasting and not eating from his dinner meal until about noon the next day. I've been doing a little bit of that. When you work out, you exercise, it helps burn the fat off before you add more calories. But anyway, a bag like that, a large bag of granola, averages me about 350 pesos, and they're different brands, but right about 350 pesos or about $7. That will last me a good month usually, and so it comes out, my breakfast ends up costing me about 35 pesos a day, less than $1 a day for my breakfast. Once or twice a week I have oatmeal. That's relatively inexpensive, and I usually top it with a little bit of raw honey. This is honey I get it comes up from Camigan. The only place I find it anymore is in one of the Gaisano malls, or SM Mall, I believe, over at J Center Mall, where Immigration is. I used to see it more often, but not lately. I also often start my day with a bit of a tea that I mixed up, and used to be turmeric and lemongrass and a little bit of ginger, but I didn't really care for my mixture, and I think the mixtures I buy come with a lot of sugar in it, so I started mixing my own. So I use turmeric, I use some moringa powder, which is very nutritious, lemongrass oil, some ginger, and I've been putting some coconut sugar in it as well, which is supposed to be it's not as bad as regular sugar, put it that way. And then I mix in a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, and I drink that almost every morning. Don't ask me what percentages I used, because I don't know. I just kept adding things and mixing them until it was palatable, till I could drink it. Apple cider vinegar used to be hard to find. Now I see it many places. It's about, for the very large bottle, it's about 340 some pesos, very close to $7 a bottle. And yes, I do see a lot of Filipinos buying that and using it as well. Chili with beans has started becoming a little difficult to find, but Landers had some for 120 per can, or about $2.40. That's 120 pesos. The condensed milk, a can of that costs about 54 pesos or $1.06. The loaded chicken soup there was 140 pesos or $2.80. Large can, and there again we'll add cabbage and some other things to it to make a little more meal out of it. These pasta sauce mixes were about 100 pesos a piece, or about $2. And I can't find the price for the rice cookies. The Nutella was 369 pesos or $6.98. Hash browns were 125 pesos, $2.50. And they were both impulse buys. The Nutella will last a long time. The hash browns I could have made myself easily. This grapeseed cooking oil was expensive, 350 pesos or $7, but it will last several months. It does not burn or smoke at higher temperatures, and my understanding is it has more nutritional benefits. I don't eat much of this kind of thing, and it'll last me a month or longer, but anyway, it was the Lays were 138 pesos, about $2.76. Nacho chips were 143 or $2.84, and those crackers were 80 pesos or $1.60. The pineapple, very large pineapple, 88 pesos, $1.76 US. That Dole fruit, 4 little fruit packs inside of there, 103 pesos or $2 US. I usually buy a case of almond milk at S&R, but I wasn't at S&R, and Landers didn't have it by the case. They had some other brand, so I tried the Barista brand. There was a little bit expensive, 150 pesos or $3 US. Pringles, 82 pesos, pretty common price, or 164 US. And the other milk, the rice milk, 90 pesos, 180 pesos, or 180, $1.80 US. The frozen mixed berries, 331 pesos, $6.62. And I use those to make smoothies that will last me probably 3 weeks, maybe a month. I've covered the grapeseed oil and the Emperador. The brandy there was about $2.50 or $5 US. Another impulse buy. That'll last a long time here. Did I mention that I don't always eat everything that's healthy? These 4 packs of Hunt's snack pudding packs, you get 4 of those, were about 80 pesos a piece, or about $1.60. The spaghetti noodles were organic, so they cost more, 130 pesos or $2.60. I got 2 of the sauce. Each package of sauce was 80 pesos or $1.60. I picked up 3 boxes of macaroni and cheese by Kraft. They were 80 pesos a piece, or about $1.60. The Nature Valley Oats and Honey breakfast type bars I get at S&R. I get, I think, 98 of those for about 999 pesos. I think it comes out to 10 pesos per bar, or about 20 cents US per bar, I believe. When I'm in a hurry in the morning, they work well. Also, when I'm traveling, I like to carry a few of those with me rather than buying junk food on the road. We bought a whole cooked chicken while we were there also, and we've cut that up and used that at 2 meals. I think we'll still get 2 or 3 meals out of it. That was 228 pesos for the chicken, I believe, or $4.56 US cents. I think you can get them for 180, 190 out on the street. Lots of places out on the street. But anyway, this was convenient. Also, the Angus beef patties that I buy, usually the only place I find them is in S&R, and I find they come from Australia. Quite good. They don't shrink up very good. Fairly lean. Taste good. Sometimes I use them. I cook them up, crumble them up for chilies or different tacos, things like that. Over 1,000 pesos for those 18. I forget, 1,200 maybe, 1,400 even possibly. But when you break it down into the 18 units, it really isn't that much. It's a reasonably decent deal, and it will last me many, many months. And then the Johnsonville, the bratwurst, I like. I'll buy a couple of those when I can find them. Non-food items can add up very quickly too, especially if they're imported. Lysol, for instance, I always buy the very largest container. Don't know if that's the most economical to buy, but that's what I do. Usually right around 350 pesos or $7 US. That has gone up substantially several months ago. And the toilet cleaner there was 93 pesos or $1.86. The Clorox, 59 pesos or $1.18. I think that's produced here in the Philippines, I think. The bug spray gets rather expensive. I buy the container and put it in a spray bottle. I got this on a special, I think, 267 pesos or $5.34. That will last probably a couple of months, off and on. I use it if ants are around. And That's usually like 333 pesos, so quite a bit more than what I paid for it. Other necessary non-food items, toilet paper, of course, because it's not furnished any place here, so you need to carry something with you. Uh, the toilet, the paper towels, and the sanitary wipes, because most CR's restrooms do not have soap and or towels in them. So there again, you want to carry something with you. And my experience has been you buy cheap, you get cheap. These towels right here that I bought, Filipino brand, and every other sheet, the perforations are useless, and you end up with a handful of paper, not perfed, not taken off the way it should be at a proper perforation. I have tried many different types of razors. This is about the only razor that I can use where I don't cut my face all up. And I can find them at Watson's, drugstores, pharmacies here, and that's about almost the only place I find them. Occasionally someplace else, but they cost me about $1 a piece. Last me about 5 days generally. So if there's some product that you really want from your home country, you may have difficulty finding it here. You might want to bring a bunch of those along, and I did on my last trip. I know several expats on smaller islands who come to Cebu City or other larger cities to get the things that they really want once or twice a month even, and it might be an option for you if you're living in the province out away from the bigger city. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please like the video, share the video. Please subscribe. Safe travels to you all wherever you're at, and we'll see you next time.